2 for July the 22nd, 2019, come to order. Secretary, call roll, please.
Mr. Forrest? Present. Mr. Bailey? Present. Mr. Joseph? Present. Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Here.
Mr. Mayu?
Here.
Mr. Wells?
Here.
Mr. Vial?
Here.
Mr. Levine? Mr. Cortez?
Okay, public input, anyone wishing to address any agenda items? Okay. Adoption of minutes of regular meeting dated June the 22nd, 2019.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Mr. Joseph. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. First item is Laronja Fire Matters, ratification of a full-time position.
Yes, it's one position at $8 per hour. The chief had submitted all of the necessary documents.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Mr. Joseph. Roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yep.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Motion passes. Item number 2, Kentwood Fire Matters, approval to purchase portable radios off state contract.
It's, if you look at, I believe it's in your packet, is a copy of the state contract with these radios, and it is a total of 15 portable radios at $1,874 apiece, and it comes to $28,118, and it is through Motorola Solutions.
These are the new radios,
These are
correct?
new radios, the 700 megahertz radios.
They have a warranty with them? Has a warranty?
I'm sorry?
Is there a warranty with them?
You know, there probably is a one-year manufacturer's warranty. I mean, that's whatever the radios that everybody has.
So we don't know for sure?
Not for sure, Mr. Wells. I can't say 100%, but I believe there is.
Seems like that's something we should know before we purchase.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Forrest.
Second.
Who is that? Mr. Mayu, second by Mr. Mayu. Roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yep.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yeah.
Mr. Vial? Mr.
Yes.
Cortez?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. The Talbot Fire Matters, approval to surplus assets.
They have, they had submitted the property dispersal form. It is a 1979 Ford, they call it their bread truck. It looks like a delivery truck. It's an old truck that they're going to go ahead and surplus. We're going to list it on that GovDeals site and see what we can get for it.
Okay, motion by Mr. Ridgel,
Second.
second by Mr. Mayu. Roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Bruno, I did some quick reading. One of the things that has to have a 3-year manufacturer's warranty.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at
Yeah,
here too.
I got it.
Yeah, it's right here in the contract.
Yeah, just read it.
Okay, number 4, ratification of full-time position.
Same thing, that the chief had submitted the proper documents, and it's for one full-time position at $8.50 per hour.
Okay, motion.
Awesome.
Motion by Mr. Wells,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Joseph. Ratification of a full-time position for $8.50. Roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Number 5, ratification of a part-time position.
Same thing with that one. It is at one part-time position at $8.50 per hour.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ridgel, second by Mr. Wells. Roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, 8th Ward Fire Matters, approval of surplus and scrap assets.
It is, one is a Life Pack AED. The tag number is a 22082. And the other one is a station generator, and that tag number is a 3752.
Dennis, what do we do with them? We bring them out to the landfill?
We're going to have to bring that one out, you know, with the Life Pack, we can bring it out to the surplus and to the landfill. The station generator, it's a large generator, so we're going to have to do something to have it picked up, brought somewhere for scrap or whatever.
What about, is it working?
It is not.
So it wouldn't do us any good to put it on Gov
No.
sales? Okay. All right, well, this would be a little different. We're going to declare this scrap. So that means it would have to go to a scrap dealer, it'll have to be sold, and then
Whatever the
we'll
weight
have to
of,
get a receipt to put back in the account,
yes.
okay?
But we'll have to get some way to get that generator to the scrapyard.
Okay. Well, if we have to, we'll have to hire somebody, but then it comes out of the,
Right.
unless the fire department can find somebody to haul it up to the scrapyard, you know? Okay? All right, so the motion is to declare them surplus and then sell them as scrap,
So move.
okay?
That's the generator. The AED, we're gonna bring just, bring that
This
to
is the
landfill.
generator.
Yes, just the land, the generator's gonna be scrap.
Okay, that's the generator, this is all we're voting on. Okay. All right,
I'll second your motion.
okay, that was Vial,
Yep.
Bailey. Okay, this is on the generator to declare it surplus and scrap, and that it be sold at a scrap dealer and the money reimbursed to the 8th Ward account. Roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ristel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Okay, and the other item was a what?
It's a AED, we can bring that to the
Okay,
landfill.
that would be declared surplus and brought to the landfill. Is that to dispose of or to be thrown away?
dispose of.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Mr. Joseph, to declare the AED scrap and dispose of it at the landfill.
Correct.
And I'm sure we're gonna probably need to get a receipt for the auditor to have that went to the landfill. But she's sitting right there, and I wanna make sure that we...
That's why it's there. What he was doing.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ristel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Number 7, ratification of a part-time position.
All right, that's Husser. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, 8th Ward.
I'm sorry. Have to go back to my book.
Insurance premium.
It's right before that.
You found it?
No, sir. I got it in my packet.
It's 8th Ward, $9.95 an hour.
Oh, there's another one in there.
That's the one I'm looking at.
Sure is.
Okay. Right here. Yes, I'm sorry. It's 8th Ward. It is a part-time position at $9.95 an hour, and yes, I do have all the necessary documents.
So
I
move.
just didn't make my notes on mine.
$9.95.
It's in the pack.
I'll move. I'll so move.
Okay, motion by Mr. Vial, second by Mr. Bailey, for ratification of a part-time position at $9.95. This 8th Ward Fire Department. Roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ristel? Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Okay, motion passes. Number 8, Hustler Fire Matters, ratification of a part-time position.
Same thing with this one. The chief did submit all of the necessary documents, and this one is at $10 per hour, part-time.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bailey,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Wells, to ratify a part-time position for the Hustler Fire Department for $10 per hour. Roll call.
Mr. For,
Oh, hold on.
What dictates their, what we choose to pay them? I noticed one part-time getting $9.50 and one part-time getting $10. They do a different
It's up to
It's
that
up
individual
strictly to each
department.
department.
It depends on the certification.
Yeah, exactly.
This particular candidate, she applied as a first responder. She just completed EMT training, so we're actually getting
An EMT out of the
that
deal.
EMT out of it.
And just for everybody, just so you know, we don't set these salaries. These are set by each individual department. So, okay,
It kind of goes along that pay scale per department. that-
yeah.
Oh, I don't have nothing in there on a hustler.
Huh?
I think that's,
that one,
It's a paper.
it was
Oh,
next
that's
to, yeah.
over here. I'm
Laying on.
sorry. You're right.
it is there.
Okay, so do we have a motion for,
So moved.
motion by Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Wells, second.
Wells, second?
Yeah.
Second by Mr. Wells, ratification of a part-time position of $10 an hour for Hustle Fire Department. Roll call?
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. You should have received your monthly reports and registers on your computers. I've had a chance to look at them. Next, administrator's report.
That's a question for you.
Sir, oh, go ahead.
Might be put up some of the chiefs out here. We just approved the new radios.
Yeah.
Were the old ones working at all?
Well, no, I think they were trying to get some more radios for their members,
In addition to?
in addition to.
Okay. All right. I got it. Thank you.
Okay, Don.
You on the administrative
Yep.
report? I'd like to pass this out. It's for the insurance premium. I just received this. Okay. It's going to explain, kind of to show you the increase. We did get an increase in the insurance, and the reason why is we added 8 vehicles.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, sir.
I was expecting way more than that because we had a lot of insurance claims this year. I mean, we had a couple of totals and, really, that's not surprising. That's not a lot considering we added 8 vehicles plus the amount of accidents.
exactly. Look, I mean, so if you look at what the previous premium was $235,351.17, and the new premium is $248,783.02, which is, it is an increase of $13,431.85.
9 new vehicles?
Eight
Eight new
that's
vehicles.
adding 8 vehicles we added.
9 on the bottom.
Well, 9, I'm sorry, my mistake, it's 9 vehicles.
Roughly, what did the insurance company pay out on all the claims we had?
Oh, my gosh, we just had a claim just the other
No, some of
day.
them weren't the fault of the fire department too, though. On some of those claims weren't.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, was by accident, just simple.
It's just in the line of duty stuff.
Yeah, and, you know, look, the insurance company has been really great with us in paying their claims, and claims that I didn't think that would be paid out, and they accepted responsibility and paid these claims out.
Joey, I would say just the ones that came to me to look at, I probably wouldn't be off saying 200,000 or
Oh,
more.
it's up there, it really
Way
is.
up there.
Were they able to get us back any deductibles that,
It's $1,000 deductible.
right, that we had to pay out on?
Oh, look at, you know, you look at the one for, it's a department that we had an accident and, you know, it was a $200,000 claim.
Right, usually
And-
they'll subrogate to get your deductible back.
They went after the other company
Right.
and got our $1,000 deductible back also. So that happens quite often.
Oh, yeah, it's,
It happens quite often. They have been really, you know, easy to work with, and they communicate very well. So yes, to me, it's,
Way ahead.
yes.
I've had to call them several times, and they always willing to help, you know, and so far, so good. We've been lucky. They've covered just about everything that we
Everything that
had.
we've sent, they have paid a claim on it.
Okay, we need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Mr. Mayhew,
I'll say.
to accept the insurance premium for the year 2019-2020 at $248,783.02. Roll call?
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey? Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richel? Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, last, but certainly not least, our auditor, Miss Laura Gray.
She's back again.
And Laura, you're gonna start over again, right? And let us know.
Buddy said you got 3 minutes.
Well, I have to apologize to Mr. Wells.
You overran your 5 minutes, didn't you?
By 5 minutes, but
You know what old school teachers do you when you don't do what they tell you, huh?
whack you on the hand with the ruler.
That's right, it's coming.
But if you went to Catholic school, they did it different.
He said,
At one time, it wasn't on the hand, how well.
that's when we
It
had
holds the
just,
paddle too.
Okay, Laura, it's all yours.
I'm gonna try to make it up, Mr. Wells, for you here. Okay, so this is the financial audit for Fire District Number 2 and the 8 volunteers. This is as of December 31st, 2018. Here on this slide, you can see who the 8 volunteers are, but what's easier to say, it does not include Kentwood or Natal Benning. So we'll be really speedy. Fire District Number 2, and the volunteers that we audited received a clean opinion, an unmodified opinion, an A+. And that's on page 1 of the audit report.
That's too
And we'll even jump way far ahead to the end of the audit report and say there are no findings in this audit report either. And the opinion letter on internal control is also unmodified and clean. So the fire district finally has gotten A+s all the way across the board. No findings, 2 A+s on your opinion letters.
Great.
Hey, good.
Okay, so we'll click on pass, right? Because y'all said get busy.
That does it all.
All right, so here's a highlight real quick. There was only one department that had a positive net change. It meant that it had like a little excess left over, and that's Man Shack. The rest of the departments had a negative net change in net position, which means they had to dip into their surplus. Primarily, it was either large equipment purchases, or the other factor was depreciation. But you can't discount depreciation because depreciation is, in essence, the future cost and repair to fix equipment. Now, you have one volunteer account that has negative net position. It didn't just dip into reserves, it made its negative bigger, and that's Laranger.
Is that on the loan with Punch 2?
It's part of it, but it actually increased it this year, so that's an operating thing this year. The loan took place last year,
Okay.
but not this year.
Okay.
All right, so this is, just so you understand these slides, that if it says fire number 2, it is totally fire number 2 only. Fire District Number 2, in your audit report, this will be on page 11, you had total assets of $16,036,496, and you can see the breakout on this 3-year comparison, how roughly everything just kind of stays the same. You don't really have any big fluctuations on any of your categories. So your next is your liabilities and net position for Fire District Number 2. This would also be on page 11 of your audit report. Total liabilities, $1,624,753, and total net position, $14,411,743. And what's crazy is if you look down at the bottom, there truly isn't hardly any change in any of these categories across the board. So what's that telling you, basically, is that your taxes are all staying the same and you're maintaining Fire 2's expenses. We don't have anything crazy come up. So the next slide is Fire Number 2's revenues. This is a 3-year comparison. Total revenues as of December 31st, 2018, $6,607,218. You can see your property tax base is roughly held down at $5.4 million. It did have a little jump up here in 18, but we haven't made it over to 5.5 yet. State revenue sharing, that's controlled by the state. Your 2% fire insurance rebate, it went down a little, but that's also controlled by the state. State supplemental pay, you didn't have any donations this year. Interest income, y'all changed. You went back to the bank, y'all negotiated your CPA, Dennis James, he helped with the district, and y'all went back to First Guarantee and negotiated a rate, and that's what that's about. You are now getting paid for your money in there. And then municipal fire protection, the $272. That's the town of Kentwood. That's the contract that they pay y'all, that y'all turn around and pay to Independence volunteers. Fire number 2 expenditures, total expenditures, $6,566,986. And if you took your other slide and flipped back over, basically all the revenues you get, except for a little over 100,000, maybe let's just like 200,000, y'all send right back out to all the fire departments. And then y'all can see how your expenses break out, and you can see how they all just kind of stay level in there. All right. So here's the 8 volunteer fire departments. This first statement that you have up here is the balance sheet, or the statement of net position. So you can see it starts with Hammond and it goes across over there. The only one that you still have to be concerned with is in the middle, it's Laranger. They have a deficit of $93,420. But that's how the other fire departments fared in there. We're going to go past that. This is the statement of revenues and expenses, or statement of activities for the volunteers. And if you can come down, Jeff showed me, but I don't think it works, the pointer on the TV. He says it goes away. It does. It's right down there towards the bottom. It says change in net position. It's the line that's going to, if you can see it, it says a negative 195.63. That's for Hammond. And if you go all the way across, you'll see the net change for every volunteer that you have there. But if you could look at that line with your eyeball and just go up to under expenses, and it's the very last expense, you'll see equipment purchases. You will notice in the majority of the volunteers, the equipment purchase exceeds what the net change for the negative is. So this is a big fire truck purchase, a completion on a station house. These monies are being held in reserve for this purpose. So for that particular year, yes, it looks like it's a negative, but it's not, because next year they're not going to have that big truck or whatever. It's the departments that really don't have a large dollar amount in there that have the negative that you should all be concerned with. And Laranger's net change for the year was $25,853 deficit, and they had purchased $7,287 worth of equipment. But when that nets, it's still not enough, and there's no depreciation either on Laranger. So this is the one of the departments that, I know y'all are scrutinizing a lot of the expenditures. And just remember this, the 4 quarterly payments that go out is based off of the balance in the checkbook. So if you have, in the pool account, so if you have some departments that are overspending, is other departments getting shorted on their quarterly allocation because we're having to cover the short. So that's where y'all probably need to look at these a little more closely. The few departments that are kind of struggling to break even without the equipment purchases in there. But y'all are at some point going to have to address the deficit with Laranger. Schedule a long-term debt for Fire 2 only. This is a capital lease for equipment. It's a truck. Other notable items that you have, these are in the notes to the audit report. Page 32 is the notes payable for the component units. Page 34 is the tax abatements. Page 35 is subsequent events. And then you have Fire 2's budgetary comparison schedule on page 37. I have already stated this. You received a clean opinion on internal control over financial reporting and compliance, and there's no findings. And that's it. So moving on quickly, because y'all are ready to go. State agreed upon procedures. Last year, we did 31. Well, we had 6 that we still had to look at in year 2. And those have all been resolved. We had no exceptions on statewide agreed upon procedures for Fire District Number 2, which means for year 3, we will not have to perform statewide agreed upon procedures unless state legislature decides at the request of LLA to make y'all have year 3 procedures done. But as of right now, because you have no exceptions, there will be no statewide agreed upon procedures applied. That's great. I want to just tell y'all that I think part of the reason everything is coming together for Fire 2, no findings, no budget issues, AUPs are good now, is the use of the outside CPA firm. They're acting like your controller. They're checking bid law. They're making sure the invoices are properly approved, stamped, and canceled. All documentation is behind there. It was a great decision by the board to do that, and I think that you now see the results. It's taken, was it worth it? I think it is, and y'all are getting timely information. I wanted to thank Mr. James and his staff. I conducted the audit for Fire 2 at their office. They were very accommodating. They had all the records. There wasn't any contact in a department for anything. Everything was there. It worked really well, and it's a good partnership between them as the outside CPA, CFO, and me as the auditor. And again, I appreciate your confidence in me, and thank you. And I hope I didn't go too fast.
Good.
Thank you, Laura. I'd like to personally thank all the fire chiefs,
Yes.
Mr. Crocker, and also Mr. Dennis James and his staff. I don't think we could have done it without everybody cooperating. It's been a long haul, but it's starting to pay dividends, and I think it's great. We got some excellent news here tonight, not only on the parish side, but also with the fire district. So I think the parish is heading in the right direction. And with that, if there's nothing else, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Wells?
I'll make it.
Motion by Mr. Wells.
Second.
Second by Mr.
Yeah.
Vial. All in favor?
Aye. The ayes have it.